Good evening, everyone. Welcome to round 9 of the 131 WebRadio ANZCAR Monday Night Truck Series. Coming to you from Texas tonight. We're at Texas Motor Speedway. And as for last week in Martinsville, we've got a really big field, almost a completely full grid here on offer for us tonight. And this series just continues to go from strength to strength. Just with me tonight, as always, we've got Danny G here. Just what are you thinking looking at this big field, Daniel?
Thinking at the moment, if I'm taking practice into consideration, it might be a bit of a wreck.
Well, hopefully not. We did see a lot of cautions last week at Martinsville when they ran there, which you do see from time to time when you get a big field on a short track, but you'd almost expect with the wide open spaces of Texas Motor Speedway being a much bigger, faster, more open track, that there might be a little bit more room to move, room to race. We might see something a little bit cleaner tonight.
Yeah, we definitely could do. Just as pretty much as the runs go on, sort of the tyres wear off pretty quickly here at Texas, and the trucks will get loose coming off the corners. I think that's going to be a trouble area, pretty much turn 2. So if they can get around that and figure that out, I think pretty much the race line should also creep up the track as the long green flag runs go on. So I'm hoping to see a couple of them.
Yeah, that's certainly the indication that I've got, having spoken to a couple of the drivers who are actually out there running their practice laps at the moment, is that that off turn 2 in particular, the trucks are quite tight early in the run, and they do go loose as the run goes on. So I think you're quite right when you say that the trucks are going to migrate up the track as the tyres get older, and then as soon as they come to the pits and start to run down, they'll start to run down low again. So just before we get into qualifying, we are in the last couple of minutes of practice now. We'll just run through the championship points as they stand after the last round, and what was a very closely tight form battle amongst most of the top 10 has actually blown wide open. We've got Michael Skurlock there. He's leading the championship by 1 point over Matt Danson. That's quite interesting because we've actually got the winners of the last 2 truck series actually running there at the top, battling for this one. So it's really kind of a best of 3. This is the 3rd series of trucks that we've actually run this year, and it'll be interesting to see if one of these guys can get the advantage over the other by getting 2 out of 3 of those series. But there is a big gap, 23 points back to Jason Williams, who was running up there, sharing the lead only a round or so ago. And then there's another big chunk back to Jackson Callow, and then we've got Gavin Sadler and Dave Douglas running back there, still fairly tightly packed, only a couple of points between them. And then looking further back, we've got Aaron Wilton, Ricky Cornwall, Nicholas Walsh, and the former leader of the series, who hasn't shown up for a couple of rounds now. I know he's been quite busy with work, and that's Chris Purnell, sitting there in 10th place in the points at the moment.
Yeah, it's a very interesting sort of the grid there in the standings, and it sort of all blew out last week at Martinsville. Usually you'd sort of pick Talladega for that to happen, but the points sort of stayed relatively close at Talladega, and Martinsville last week just sort of blew this one right out.
Yeah, and of course of Martinsville last week, Braden Bulls, he's not actually here as far as we can tell yet, and he's only got a few seconds to get in before qualifying starts, so I'm not sure that we're going to be seeing him tonight, but hopefully we do. But in any event, there's going to be a very large field here to keep everybody entertained watching this race tonight. Just having a look at some of the form through practice of Dave Douglas, Jason Williams up there on identical times at the moment, the RCD teammates, and then you're looking back to Josh McElroy and championship leader Michael Skurlock, actually in there ahead of Jason Martin, who's down there in 5th position at the moment as they run. So just about to kick off into qualifying. As soon as we do, we'll pick a driver coming out of the pits. We'll follow them around for their qualifying run and see how they go. But in terms of the way the drivers are going to approach qualifying, Daniel, what are you expecting to see?
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if the second lap was quickest. Sort of get more of a run coming off turn 4, and you can make a lot more time into turn 1 on your second lap. But obviously the tyres have worn out. But I think pretty much I'd say the low line's going to work quickest around here. Yeah,
it certainly is a momentum track, isn't it? It's one of those ones that's actually quite fast, and you do look to build up quite a lot of momentum. So just having a look at some of the guys coming out of pit lane at the moment, we've got Todd Maxfield in the number 16. He's actually just come out of the pits, and he's going to make a very early run at seeing a qualifying time. So some fairly solid performances from Todd. He's got a very good finish last week at Martinsville. So he'll be looking, I suppose, to get another solid finish tonight. He's going to try and start that off by qualifying absolutely as well as he possibly can. So he's taking a nice high line out of turn 4, coming through the try over to kick this lap off, and we'll see what Todd's actually able to manage.
Yeah, we'll see what he does here. I think he'll go low, pretty much sort of the track there, but does get the car low and tries to arc this coming off the corner down the straightaway. And pretty much opposite ends, these will get the, I don't know if I was quite loose coming off turn 2 there, but pretty much opposite corners here. So turns 2 is like entry to turn 3.
Oh, all right, so I believe we might just be having a few issues on the end of the broadcast, but that's all right. We'll just keep talking along. We'll get those results ASAP for you. So as Todd Maxfield comes through and completes his first lap, he's sitting in 5th position with a 30.157, and just as I say that, he gets demoted to 7th place as a few. But let's see if your prediction comes through, Daniel, of this second lap actually being a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I don't think so. Looking at the line he's running now in the middle, so you get to the run off turn 4 though.
All right, so as he comes along through the tri-oval now, we will see if he improves. He had a he's gone about 0.2 of a second slower on that second lap, so that has not improved for him. So just taking a look at some of the other guys who are out there at the moment, we've got Gareth Anderson out in there in the 111 truck. And he's actually just on his warm-up lap at the moment, so he's got the hammer down and he's taking quite a traditional line through 3 and 4, and he's going to look to run right up close next to the wall, which he does. Maybe could have got a bit more out of that, but not too much as he crosses the line to begin this first lap. And we'll see if he takes the sort of traditional line that we saw from Maxfield just before, and it looks like he is indeed doing that, that he's running down quite low, almost too low, putting a couple of wheels there on the apron and coming out onto the backstretch, trying to carry as much speed as he possibly can, obviously. Diving down now into turns 3 and 4, and he's going to try to cut this that turn as narrow as he absolutely can, running there on the inside and up there through the tri-oval now. And he crosses the line in 17th position with that first lap with a 30.362. And we'll see if he's able to improve on the second time round.
Yeah, it looks like he just turned too late into turn 3 would be my problem. Or I think he scrapes the wall there. Might jeopardise his lap, but
very close, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he gets it tucked a bit lower this time around, earlier. Get a good run up, but I'm not sure how much time he actually lost coming off turn 2 there.
Oh, yeah, I'd say it was a fair amount. It sort of screwed up the rest of his lap as far as we could tell. But he has actually just slightly improved, so it shows I don't know what I'm talking about. Only slightly improved, and he's sitting there in 20th position at the moment. So very big field here in 20th position as a roundabout mid-pack. So just take a look through to see if there's anybody else just about to start a qualifying run or just in the early stages. And so we've actually got Stephen Williams out there in the number 98 truck at the moment. He's on his first lap and he's taking a little bit of a different line to what we've seen so far, maybe just a little bit wider through 1 and 2. And I'm not sure if he's looking to use this first lap, maybe sacrifice a little bit. It looks like he is actually, because he's staying quite high by comparison to the other guys, the other drivers that we've seen come through so far. So he might be actually looking to prioritise this second lap, but his first lap isn't too bad. It's a 30.2, but I'd expect to see someone of Stephen's calibre get a little bit higher up there. So we'll see what he's actually able to manage on the second time round.
Yeah, it looks like he just might have been saving his tyres, taking the high line on the first lap, just trying to get that good run off turn 4, which I spoke about earlier, and we'll see what he does here. Charges off into turn 3, still a little bit high.
Yeah, running quite high there, so it's obviously a deliberate ploy by him. He believes that's the fastest way around. He doesn't get that wide coming out of turn 2, finishes up quite now, turn 4 I should say. But he comes across the line and hasn't improved, just barely, just a couple of thousandths of a second away from his first lap time. So no improvement for him that time round. So just having another quick look through just to see who's yet to qualify. There's quite a few drivers who are yet to qualify. And we've got Matthew Kloot out there on track at the moment. He's on his first flying lap. Looks like he's actually just coming out of turn 4 at the moment. He has nabbed the wall and he's gone off down onto the grass. So not only will that lap not count, but his second lap won't count either. So that has pretty much consigned him to the back of the field. Unfortunately, he's going to have to fight his way through.
He really won't be happy with that. He definitely clobbered the wall.
Yeah, so gave it a good old whack, didn't he? So I'm not sure if there's a few drivers perhaps looking to start towards the back, but just having a look now, we've got the 351 of Simon Black who's out here at the moment, just coming around to start his first flying lap. And we haven't seen too much of Simon this season. We've seen him a little bit in some of the other ANZCAR seasons that we've run, and he certainly does do a lot of sim racing. He's also organised events in the past as well. I think he organised the first ever NASCAR league that I was part of on iRacing, only briefly because I was terrible. But yeah, just watching Simon come around now. He's going through turns 3 and 4 on his first flying lap, and we'll see what he's able to do as he comes through the tri-oval.
Yeah, they all just seem to be just a touch higher on the track than I would have thought. I don't know if that's rubbing them speed. I wouldn't mind seeing one of the fast guys lap the lines that they took.
Yeah, well, Simon's definitely hugging that bottom line a lot more on this second lap now. That first lap wasn't that fast, 30.4. It's only put him in 27th place, and there's only 21 cars qualified so far. So he is still holding that sort of mid to high line through 3 and 4. He was low in 1 and 2 this time round. So we'll see if this makes any difference for him, if he's managed to go any faster and scrape off another couple of tenths. And he crosses the line, he has done, but it's only about a tenth better, and he's put him up to 21st position.
And we got Jason Martin out on track now, and I'm just going to watch him coming into turn 3 and see the line that he takes.
He is on his
there a little bit earlier.
Yeah, he is on his first flying lap, Jason Martin, at the moment, and he's very low, as we saw earlier on. Really taking that more traditional line, clipping those apexes, as the road guys would say. And he'll come through across the line for his first flying lap, and that has put him straight into his traditional pole position.
Yeah, he did it by a 10th.
Yeah, 29.6. He's done it by over a tenth. He's done it by a tenth and a half over Mike Brown there in second place. And this might actually be a good time to run through just where the qualifiers sit at the moment. We do have a top 5 of Martin, Brown, Callow, Micklemore and Smith there at the minute, but there are still quite a few drivers yet to qualify. So if one of these guys goes and puts up a lap, let's see if anybody can actually threaten that time of Martin. We've actually got Dave Douglas out on track at the moment, so he's on his first flying lap, and he's taken a very similar sort of line to Jason Martin through turn 1 and 2. So we'll see what he does through 3 and 4. Yeah, getting nice and low, probably not as low as Jason was, but he'll be looking to come through now. We'll see what he actually does. He comes through the tri-oval for the first time, crosses the start-finish line. And Dave has gone position 4, so not that surprising. He was very, very quick in practice. He's actually gone fractionally faster than he did in practice. See if he's able to improve on lap 2. Oh, he's actually hit the wall, so he won't improve on lap 2.
No, he won't, as he spins all the way down the backstretch. Clubbed the wall a couple of times there. Yeah, 4th place, not too bad now. There's only about 10 drivers that haven't set laps. Not sure if they will, but not anyone up there I think that can challenge them.
No, certainly not. I mean, Jason Martin takes pole position as if by right so often in ANZCAR. He's just got qualifying absolutely nailed down. I mean, most of the time as well, you know, he's always up there challenging for the victory. But even if he doesn't win the race, he's almost invariably the man on pole position. He's really got qualifying sorted out, and just knows all the little tips and tricks for every single one of these tracks that the stock cars visit. So I'm just waiting for any more drivers to come out. I think that perhaps we've seen the last of our qualifiers. We are only coming into 1 minute to go now in this 10-minute qualifying session. So it might actually be a good time to just go and take a look through the grid, because it is quite a big one. It's a very big one, as we had last week at Martinsville, and great to see so many guys coming out tonight enjoying the ANZCAR experience. But pending any crazy fast laps coming at the end of the session, I think we're most likely going to see Jason Martin safely on pole, and sharing the front row with him is going to be Mike Brown, sitting on the outside, as I mentioned, a tenth and a half behind Jason. Going back to the second row, we've got Jackson Callow and Dave Douglas, and Josh Micklemore and Bruce Smith sharing the third row. Then Jason Williams and Raymond Yeager in 7th and 8th together on the 4th row, and then on the 5th row, Bradley Cheney and Ricky Cornwall.
Aaron Wilton sits in 11th position, Josh Carroll-Walden in 12th, Matt Danson behind them in 13th, then Kai Sloggett 14th, Michael Skurlock 15th. Aaron Dillon qualified 16th, Gavin Sadler in 17th, Todd Maxfield 18th, Brian Richmond 19th, and Nicholas Walsh 20th.
And still going through this very large field. So we've got Matthew Lawson, one of the ANZCAR newcomers. He's there in 21st position. And he'll be sharing row 11 with Christopher Simpson. Stephen Williams and Simon Black will share row 12. Well, Gareth Anderson and Kevin Bomford will share the next row. And then Tristan Koch and Will Barrington, the teammates, qualifying there together again, 27th and 28th. And then we're looking back as far as Tristan Yelland and James Robbie on the 15th row. That's your top 30.
And in 31st, Otis Caldwell, and then Michael Ladder was the last guy out there to actually put a speed down or a time, so he's qualified in 32nd. Then of the non-qualifiers, we've got in, 33rd, Shane Van Gisbergen, then Matty Clowett, Darren McKenzie, John Sorensen, Robert North, Terry Marwood, Damon Stockton, Matt Hunter, Leo Smith, and Jason Nicholas.
All right, so that's your 42 truck grid for this race here at Texas Motor Speedway. So the qualifying drivers are getting ready on the grid, and hopefully we're even with such a big grid here that we're actually able to see a few drivers stay out of trouble and actually have some really good clean racing. I wouldn't be that surprised to see some cautions fairly early on, but as we always say, once the drivers get the nerves out of the way and everything else, hopefully we're able to get into some nice long green flag runs and actually see a little bit about what pace differentials are between these drivers. Strategy is going to come into play. Strategy is going to be a big one. Who calls the pit stops right? Of course, you can't really plan too much in this style of racing. You've got to pretty much go with the flow as the pace cars dictate. So it's really going to be a lot of different skill sets got to come into play in order to come out victorious tonight.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty full on throughout the whole race. Well, especially at the start here, you got some pretty awesome drivers in the top 10. Actually, the top 10 is just a great field on their own. Then you got fast drivers in the middle and fast drivers at the back. So yeah, the start of this race is going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, let's keep an eye on some of those fast guys coming through from the back. Of course, we've got Shane Van Gisbergen back there. He's always quite quick for obvious reasons. Then we've got Darren McKenzie and Matthew Clute, who have been front runners at various points during their time. And John Sorensen as well. He's had a couple of really good races. If you remember, he was leading, not Martinsville, but I believe it was the race prior. He was leading before he got involved in a bit of an issue with Matt Danson and didn't end up taking the victory there, but he's certainly got the ability to come through the field as well. Speaking of which, we've got Skurlock, the championship leader, and Matt Danson, who's second in the points, way down there midfield as well, so they'll make their way through.
We're not too far away here. It'll be a good race.
All right, so as the pace car dives off, Jason Martin will become the pace car. It's up to him when he wants to go. And just looking, yes, he's gone now, and Mike Brown's gone with him. And all the rest of everyone just filing through. Look at that massive field of trucks coming through the tri-over there and just running hard now down into turn 1 and 2, and all looking fairly clean so far, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it looks awesome, doesn't it? We've got Jackson Calloway's just snuck into second. I think there's a little bit of contact, actually, between him and Mike Brown, but they've settled those trucks and they keep going through turn 3.
And Jason's got his customary gap going already, just pulling out as those other guys were battling behind him, those other drivers sort of compromising themselves, working themselves out, and Jason's just taking the opportunity to make this clean break that we so see from him, and it's almost like we call that the Martin gap, just back to the rest of the field as they sort of frantically try and sort themselves out and chase him down.
He's had a pretty decent gap already. He was half a second at the line, but pretty much almost a second by the end of this lap, I'd say.
And just watching this absolute massive field just filing through these corners here. We're 3 wide a bit further back in the pack. We've got Josh Carroll Walden there. He's on the outside of, I believe it's Michael Skurlock, and he had Matt Danson in there with him as well. I think that's the number 15 there of Ricky Cornwall's just in behind. It's a big group of trucks, and from further back in the pack there at the moment, the way some of these guys are, it must seem an impossible task trying to make their way through. And just saw Carol Walden just give the back of one of the Illusion Motorsports trucks a little bit of a tap there, but no harm done and play on. Yeah, no, these guys are getting stuck into it at the moment. Pretty good racing though. They've all kept it pretty clean under the circumstances as they go off turn 4. So yeah, getting very congested here though. Yeah, a lot of congestion. It's almost like a high-speed traffic jam, isn't it? Not so much as you see at places like Talladega and so on, but it must feel like pack racing to these guys at the moment. We've seen Matt Danson make a few strides forward. Michael Skurlock's sort of gone with him. So the two championship protagonists sticking fairly close together on track at the moment. And even with this huge field here, there's still only a couple of points between them when you, if they were to finish the way they are right now.
Yeah, they would. And I think these guys sort of settle down after about 10 laps. Sort of the tyres get a little bit of wear on them, and we'll see these guys sort of fire out a little bit. But at the moment, after 5 laps, definitely got grip, and that's going to come into play at the end of the race, and they know it.
Now, just notice here how Jason Martin's actually changed his line. You did mention pre-race, Daniel, that you'd expect after the first few laps, after a bit of wear goes into these tyres, and of course with these big heavy stock cars, it doesn't take long for the tyres to start showing a little bit of wear and lose the edge of that performance. And we see Jason Martin, he's the only one that seems to be doing it at the moment, is actually taking a little bit of a higher line through the turns. Everyone else is sticking still quite low, so they still feel that there's plenty of grip available to use. But look at Jason. Jason's running around that wall through turn 1, ducking down a little bit for turn 2, sort of running mid-track. But I guarantee you that even though the drivers are catching him at the moment, they'll only catch him for a little while, because this is a tyre-saving measure. These are tyre-saving tactics from Jason Martin. He doesn't take that line for speed. But having said that, we've just got a caution out there on track, so we might just cover that one off very quickly before we continue talking about that.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to search to see what it means. I'll get back to you when I do find out. Not too sure at the moment.
I believe Matty Clute was involved in that one. Just seeing his name come up on the radio. Yeah, it was actually quite a big one. It was a really big one down the back straight, actually. Clute was involved, but he certainly wasn't the cause of it. It actually happened a fair way up ahead of him. Looks as though it might have involved potentially Kai Sloggett was involved in that. I'm not sure if he was the start of that or not. No, it certainly wasn't. So I'm just trying to dissect everything.
I've got it. Ricky Cornwall in the 15. He sort of come off turn 4 tri-oval very loose, and he just has not. He's done a very good job getting into turn 1, or he might have copped a little bit of contact from the 013, which he did actually, and that sort of sent him really loose into turn 1, and he's gone into Kai Sloggett, and they've sort of all ended up.
And that's taken out a massive amount of trucks. I didn't think it was that big a wreck when I was first trying to look around searching for trucks with damage on it. It came up on Clute's truck, but we've lost Mackenzie, Marwood, and Sloggett this early on, and that's a big shame, because some of those guys you'd expect. In fact, all 3 of those guys have really good pace. So that's a bit of a loss from the race. And if you watch Jason Martin just going down the backstretch at the moment, there are tyre marks absolutely everywhere. There are trucks limping their way around back to the pits. I think we've got the 43 there, Tristan Koch on the apron trying to limp his way back around the pits for repairs, with smoke billowing out the back of that Ballistic Racing Team truck. And it's just one of the things when you've got such a big field. If you get a touch or something like that, it's gonna cause you trouble, because you've just got nowhere to go. You go filing in there, and I think just watching that particular wreck, you could be super critical and say, look, there are guys there that should have been slowing down and braking, but of course, if that happens, you always run the risk of getting taken from behind as well. So it's very hard to put yourself in the minds of these drivers as they're going around, but everyone is jumping into the pits at the moment, so we might continue to dissect that after the pit stops.
Yeah, actually, the pit stops have actually been done. We've just been chatting in the rewind, but Jason Martin didn't pit. The rest of the field did. Jason Williams has come out in second.
Okay, so was Jason Williams one of the pitters as well? I believe Callow was the first driver who actually took tyres on track at the moment.
Yeah, I think everyone from second down pretty much pitted. Jason Williams has come out of the pits in second.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure Brian Richmond didn't pit. Yeah, I'm fairly sure Brian Richmond didn't pit. I don't think Wilton did, and I'm not 100% sure that Jason Williams did either. I'm just having a quick rewind just to double check that. But I think that the first truck on new tyres is actually Callow.
Okay, that's why he'll be back there.
All right, so, and just having a look at the drivers that were wrapped up in that, probably the best way to be able to tell is the drivers which are sitting a couple of laps down at the moment. So just looking at that, we've got Shane van Gisbergen, he's still on pit road at the moment. Damon Stockton, he's on pit road. Skurlock, that's the big one, our championship leader, he was involved in that, and he's on pit road. And then Tristan Yelland, he's come back out onto the track, actually. I'm not sure if he was involved in that, but he is 2 laps down. He's carrying a little bit of damage, so I'm not sure if he got involved in that. Logic would say that he probably did. Then we've got Stephen Williams on pit road. Kai Sloggett, as you saw earlier on, he's actually retired, taking that truck behind the wall. Tristan Koch urgently getting repairs to that smoking truck we saw earlier. Mackenzie out. Michael Latta is still there getting repairs on pit road. Jason Nicholas is still getting some repairs as well. Robert Northway, haven't seen whether he's still around. I think he may have actually taken that truck behind the wall. Marwood is definitely out of the race. And Will Barrington, sadly, as well, down there with his teammate on pit road. So a lot of drivers involved in that one.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very costly for Skurlock. He's down there at the moment, laps down now. Tough.
Yeah, it's got to be tough, but as we saw from Jason Williams coming back from 4 laps down last week, it's certainly not over. If he's able to get some repairs done and get back out on track, he can still bank some solid points here. So I'm not surprised he's taken those repairs and not giving up, and I certainly do hope he manages to see the end of the race and get some points to keep the championship battle rumbling along as it does. But we're 2 wide now, which indicates to us, of course, for all regular viewers, we know that we're just about ready to go green again. They've mopped up the mess, hosed off the drivers out of the stands, and everything that got sprayed around as a result of that one. And now we're ready to go green once more.
Interesting to see how long it takes Callow to get to the lead. I think he'll do it. He's got pretty much fresh tyres now, at least 8 laps of green flag racing. I don't think it'll take him too long. See here as they're about to go green.
All right, so Jason Martin goes early again, leaves Jason Williams just behind him. Aaron Wilson getting down his inside, as is the starting pattern we see so often in ANZCAR competition. Looks as though Brian Richmond, the lone remaining representative of the ballistic racing team, is hanging there on the inside. But let's not forget we've got Callow back there as well, who, as far as we are aware, is actually the first truck on fresh tyres. And we know how aggressive Callow can be, so expect him to start making some moves sooner rather than later. He'll want to make use of those fresh tyres while he's got them, because it only takes a couple of laps for them to start showing wear. Of course, everybody else isn't on really old tyres either, so he's really got to make hay while the sun shines for him here.
Yeah, as he looks to the inside of Richmond, I'm sure if we get the job side and see if he can change the spin. I think he'll go high and try and go around him on the outside. Having a peek, not going to do it.
He's definitely looking at him, isn't he? Putting him under a lot of pressure. Of course, Richmond, one of the all-time great NASCAR racing names. You had names of drivers, names of circuits, absolutely legendary name in NASCAR. It's good to see Brian out there repping the family name that's an island for place.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we've got Carol Walden in a wreck, and that's taken Danson as well. Looks like Carol Walden actually got turned from behind. I'll just have to go back and quickly see who that was. Looks as though Dave Douglas has actually got into the back of Josh Carroll Walden. It almost looks as though the 35 checked up, although I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at it now. I think he got loose, and yeah, he's trying to correct it, and Dave Douglas was down, unfortunately. Yeah,
just having a very quick look at it myself.
He hit the apron. Yeah, he got loose.
Yeah, hit the apron, got loose. The 10's got into the back of him, and that's Danson. Loaded it all happening in front of him, and Raymond Yeager's got straight into the back of him there. And somehow, I think Jason Williams has actually come through that with minimal damage. Just, if possible, if we can get a replay of Jason Williams going through that wreck, because that was, he missed about 4 or 5 trucks there by a coat of paint. I cannot believe he's managed to get through that, but he's managed to pick his way through by the absolute skin of his teeth. That's absolutely incredible. Have a look at this. It's incredible stuff there, but having a look, it looks as though Aaron Dillon and Raymond Yeager were caught up in that one as well. And we were just talking about the championship carrying damage. Well, guess what? Matt Danson, the other championship contender, he's not only got damage, he's got smoke pouring out the back of that number 40 Jurassic Park looking Chevy Silverado. So he's going to be up for lengthy repairs as well. Don't expect him to quit out. He's got championship points on the line, but he's going to be in there in the pits for a long time. And Michael Skurlock is actually back out on track at the moment. So even though he's 3 laps down, you'd almost expect Danson to be in there for at least the same amount of time.
Yeah, I think that took out a couple of front runners there in the standings. So yeah, it's just completely changed again.
All right, so we are only 14 laps into this one. We've had a couple of cautions already, which I guess with this big field is something that we did sort of fear, that there may be a couple of cautions earlier on while these guys get themselves settled down. hopefully they are getting settled down now. They get to the stage where they kind of get rid of the nerves. They kind of get a bit of an idea about how the trucks are going to behave, and we'll get some green flag racing. I know Jason Martin will definitely be hoping to build a gap over the guys behind him when it goes green again, and he's got Aaron Wilson for company for him. He's going to be starting alongside him on row 1 with everyone else behind. And we did mention Callow before on those newer tyres. Managed to come up from, I believe, 6th or 7th at the last start all the way up to 4th, so he's made a couple of positions as well.
Yeah, I think if Jackson can just hold it tonight and have a decent finish, he's going to be the biggest sort of beneficial there in the standings. Gain a lot of points if he finishes up front where he is at the moment. Before we cut to that caution was that he was getting hounded by Mike Brown from behind too, so he was getting slowed up by the trucks that didn't come into the pits, and that's what was sort of keeping sort of in check there. You had the guys behind him really trying hard to get around him.
Yeah, he certainly was. But, yeah, I think you're quite right. He just needs a good, solid finish tonight. He doesn't need to break his back trying to get a victory. He just needs to bank solid points. And the discrepancy between himself and possibly some of the other guys a bit higher up in the championship could be all rectified as far as he's concerned tonight. And Jason Williams still there on the lead lap, very much up amongst that leading group in the points as well. 14th at the moment after getting involved in that skirmish, as we did mention, but managed to get away from it with a minimum of damage, and hopefully he's able to work his way up and make things a little bit more interesting as far as the points go.
Yeah, I know Jackson's 44 points behind. But the next 3 tracks coming up down the season, Phoenix, Richmond and Dover. So, I mean, anything can happen at those tracks. Yeah, so just points tonight. If he can grab 15, 20 points tonight, right in there.
Yeah, Phoenix in particular is known for being a bit incident-packed in itself, but this is definitely one of the normally the safer ones. But of course, with such a big field here, few guys just taking a bit of time to find space for themselves on track and work themselves out. So anyway, we are too wide again. We are ready to go again for a start. The pace car will duck off pretty shortly, and Jason Martin will lead them away. And the last couple of guys to start out on the outside of Jason Martin haven't had much of an answer for his pace. Let's see if Wilton's got something for him starting up there in P2.
Yeah, he might do. The best person on 4 tyres at the moment is Jackson Callum. He's going to be starting 4th on the second outside line there. We'll see what he's got for me. Of course, Mike Brown on the inside of him.
And I believe that Bruce Smith actually took tyres. He's sitting in there behind his teammate Callow at the moment. So I wonder if those two might actually just try and get a bit of working together going to move their way through. We're about to find out because the pace car is off and Jason Martin goes, and Wilton unable to run quite as well as he may have wanted with him. He's going to come under a bit of pressure from Richmond there on the inside, and Callow all over the back on that outside line.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a bit patient here. You've got Mike Brown on the inside. He's racing really hard. He's got around Callow, so he's the closest guy to the front on 4 fresh tyres. He's going to turn 3 a second on the inside. Together between him and the 25. There's Callow nowhere to go.
Yeah. They got very, very close, and Callow's almost been hampered by that a little bit, hasn't he? Trying to come through as he has been on those fresh tyres, and Richmond coming under a lot of pressure now from Mike Brown. Mike Brown all over the tailgate of that number 47, and looks as though Richmond's just going to do the smart thing and give the very aggressive Mike Brown the space that he actually needs. And Wilton now having a look, Callow having a look, cut the guys sort of moving down to the bottom of the track. I think that's, who was that down there? That's Micklemore, Josh Micklemore. We haven't mentioned him too much tonight, but he's sitting there now on the inside of Wilton. Looks as though he's looking to go up into 4th place. I think Callow's just rubbed the wall there slightly, but will continue on to fight another day. And they're still fighting just as hard as if it was the last lap, aren't they?
Yeah, they definitely are. They're making more contact there, I think. Teammates almost made contact, but you've got Callow on the inside now. I think this is where he wants to be, on the inside.
Yeah, I'd say so. That really does look as though it's the preferred line at the moment. Even if it isn't the best line for saving tyres, if you want to get passing moves done, you really have to be on that bottom line. That's the impression I'm getting from looking at the track at the moment.
And Micklemore now, he's fought his way into 3rd place. He's really been not aggressive, actually, probably defensive. He doesn't want anybody having the chance to sort of sniff inside of him.
Yeah, that's probably a smart way to do it, just to completely shut off the options so nobody even thinks about having a look. And just while we're watching these guys, they are just sort of sorting themselves out into a bit of a single file run at the moment, which is probably going to be a lot safer in terms of the potential cautions and so on. The field is stringing out a little way, and just having said that, I believe it was Wilton into the back of Richmond, who's made a fantastic save there, but looks as though a few people have actually wrecked trying to get around him. Will they save it? Will they not? James Robbie spun down to the apron. Is it going to go under yellow, or are we going to keep going? It looks as though we're going to stay green, but that is really, really bad luck for both Richmond and Robbie. Turned around there. Fantastic save, but unfortunate for the pair of them, especially Richmond, who was running right up there.
Yeah, that definitely slowed the pack down and split them all up. We got Mark Brown now. I'm just taking a look at the lead. He is catching Jason Martin, not as quickly as I thought he would. It'd be interesting to see what he can do if he gets there.
All right, just before that all unfolded, I was just about to give quick props to Matthew Clute as well, who's come up. We did see him make a mess of his qualifying effort earlier on, and he's made his way all the way up to 9th position through that. So he is absolutely scythed through this field, and he'll have eyes on the very front. But speaking of the front, we've actually got Mike Brown closing down Jason Martin at quite a rate of knots.
Yeah, we do. It'd be interesting, I remember playing with his line. It would be interesting to see if he's actually learnt anything from that, if he can fend off Mike Brown or if he'll even try.
Well, look at Mike Brown at the moment. He is just shadowing Jason. Absolutely. Everything that Jason does, Mike Brown's doing it, and he's actually doing it a little bit faster at the moment. Almost a case of anything you can do, I can do better. And he's following Jason around, just running in that draft, copying everything, so there should be no differential in tyre wear between the two.
No, not at all. Probably just a truck length across the start-finish line. There's a bit of look on the outside. See if he can get a good run into turn 1 here. Still right behind Jason Martin. Jason just up a little bit higher. Closes the door.
Yeah, you just get the feeling this move's going to be done sooner rather than later, don't you? Mike Brown taking it to the inside now. Yeah, he's definitely having a look. Let's see if Jason's going to fight him too hard. I don't think he will. I think we'll see Jason. He does. Just stay to that outside line. Jason's always won race, and even if it's the most incident-packed race, he rarely ever has any incidents against him, and that's why he saw Mike Brown coming, just got out, just going to tuck in behind Mike Brown and see if he can learn anything, I think, as far as the pace that he's been showing so far.
Yeah, of course, you've got Brown on there on sort of newer tyres and Jason Martin. Jason was out there he's been out there for 25 laps, he hasn't pitted yet, so we'll see if he's saved anything. Yeah, if you can take the high line, I think, because he was taking the high line a bit earlier, that's definitely saving tyres, but just to be shadowing Mike now.
Yeah, certainly does. And just looking behind them, we've actually got Josh Mickelmore, who's made his way up from 5th on the grid to 3rd, and just running there in front of Bruce Smith and Jackson Callow there as well. Hasn't probably made as much progress as he wanted to make on those newer tyres, but he's sitting there in 5th right now. He'll be comfortable. It's a long race. It's 100 laps. We've just gone a quarter of the way through it, so plenty of time to go for Jackson to make some further moves. And like you said, with that big check-up that we had earlier on with Richmond getting involved, getting tapped from behind, I believe, it's really, with all the evasive action that everybody took, has really broken the pack up. And I think we might get to see fairly long green flag stint now, just given the fact that there are so many guys spread out around this racetrack.
Yeah, cross fingers we do, because it's going to get interesting. I think these guys are going to have to start to migrate to the top eventually. They've only been going for 10-15 laps, but around lap 30, if they can get to a big fuel run, yeah, they'll definitely have to migrate to the top.
Yeah, there's a few guys sort of doing that now, and I mean, even if they're not running the high line the entire way around the corner, they're actually running it through sort of the first part of the turn and then dropping down on the exit, giving themselves a long. Got another caution out there on track. We did jinx it, didn't we? Saying that things were going so well, and just having a quick run around to actually see, and it's actually quite a big one. I think Brian Richmond's involved in that again. Not quite sure what happened. I'm just having a quick look back to see where that's happened. It's an orange and black truck that's actually it's actually Otis Caldwell. Otis Caldwell mentioned turn 2 at the top of the broadcast, Daniel, as being a killer, and he's just hit the outside, gone straight to the inside wall. He's bounced back off. He's taken John Sorensen. He's taken. So that's a big shame for those guys. Really just innocent parties and all of that. James Robbie's come through unabated. Straight into Richmond as well, and I think there's one of the Illusion trucks has actually taken evasive action there, and it wasn't one of the Illusion trucks actually, it's Christopher Simpson in the 555. Has taken evasive action there as well, managed to come out of it with not too much damage, but yeah, a few damaged trucks running around out there at the moment.
Yeah, there definitely is. My replay only catches the end of it. I think the 41 goes pretty much full speed, like Will Barrington or one of those things, the 47. Yeah, but I can see the end of that.
Yeah, Richmond in the 47. So they are in pit lane again now. We've got Jason Martin has come down the pit lane, as has Mike Brown. and Callow in there as well. So it looks as though Jason's going to get out. Jason's actually had a good pit stop for a change and has managed to jump Mike Brown in the pits. Josh Mickelmore will come out third, Bruce Smith and Jackson Callow, followed by Dave Douglas, and that'll be your leading pack coming off the pit road.
Yeah, it was a good pit stop. It's sort of been his Achilles heel, I guess, on a lot of these races. There's a bad pit stop there in the middle or towards the end. It sort of takes him out of winning chances, but a good one there, and he gets the lead back.
Yeah, it's very unusual to see Jason Martin gain a pit stop, gain a position on a pit stop, as you mentioned. But yeah, he's certainly done it there, and he's actually popped out there ahead of Mike Brown. And it looks as though that Josh Mickelmore's actually overtaken Mike Brown there as well. I'm not sure if that's something that he's been directed to do, or whether. Yeah, not sure. We're just going to have to wait and see how that all shakes out. It looks like Mike Brown is being overtaken by trucks at the moment, but no, he's just getting back on the throttle now, moving back up. So just sorting themselves out anyway into the correct racing order.
And it looks like Bruce Smith crosses the line, still in fourth, with Jackson Callow in fifth, so they're having a pretty solid night up there in the top five. I expect to see sort of Bruce Smith get up there and challenge for this win. We've seen him win. I think we've seen him win at this track before, or he's done very well at it anyway.
Yeah, he does do well at these types of tracks, doesn't he? I mean, he always runs very well at Charlotte. That's another one that he's very fast at. So these types of tracks, of which there are quite a few very similar tracks on the NASCAR calendar, he does quite well at. And sometimes you get to a track that he may not have practiced so much or whatever, and he sort of mid-pack or upper mid-pack invariably comes forward unless he gets involved in an incident. But yeah, certainly got a turn of speed tonight, and he's up there with his teammate Jackson Callow, and those guys definitely flying the flag for that team tonight. So I'd imagine those two will probably try their best to work together, maybe utilise as much of the draft as they can do here to actually try and get up onto the pace with those leading three.
And actually think having Smith in the field's actually pretty good for Jackson at the moment. Sort of be following him, learning a few things off him. You know, Bruce is very fast and capable guy. Trying to do Jackson pretty well.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can. They'll get a bit of cooperation going between the two of them. Been early on in this series, if you remember back to the first few races, that Callow had been in a position. I think it was actually the opening 3 or 4 races. Position in the closing laps where he was in the lead. With only a few laps to go, and then something had happened. He'd come across the back marker, he put a wheel on the apron or something like that, and end up actually losing a race. But now he's up there with his teammate, and we'll see if he's able to do anything, hold it together, and maybe come away with a victory tonight.
Yeah.
All right, so I understand that we're having a few little jitters on the stream at the moment. Just apologies for that. The reason behind that is it is actually being streamed from South Australia, and we've got the mother of all storms just rolling in across the coast at the moment. So that could have something to do with why the picture isn't coming through quite as nicely as it might. But stick with us anyway. I'm sure you're going to see a decent race here to the finish. We are on lap 31 of 100, and we are about to go green once more.
We are, as the pace car comes off turn 4, and it'll be ducking left into the pits, and we'll see if Jason Martin does his usual early run.
I expect he probably will, and Mike Brown's going to do everything he can to go with him. And better than usual, but he has got away ahead of Mike Brown. It looks as though Josh Mickelmore there on the inside, and Jack very well. He's sitting there ahead of his teammate at the moment and really just pushing up on the back of Josh Mickelmore, and Josh won't want him that close to his bumper as they come through his turn 1 and 2, that's for sure. But they've got that done, and Mike Brown has been the big loser out of that one. He's fallen back to a net 4th position.
Yeah, he has, and Jackson storming through the field at the moment. He's going through turn 3 on the inside. Is that on the outside there?
Is on the outside, straight into the wall. That's Mike Brown. Mike Brown's gone straight into the fence, and Callow's involved as well. Mike Brown's straight down into the pit lane, and what was looking so promising, what has happened there? I think he's actually got together with Callow. He's got together with Callow. I think he's actually, I can't tell if Callow came up or Brown came down, but whatever's happened, Callow's fired off towards the outside wall, taken Brown with him, taken Douglas, taken Cheney, a few others there getting involved as well. So incident pack start to this one. Not what we expected to see really at all, but there are guys spinning all the way down the front stretch as well. Almost lost count of the number of trucks involved in that. Of course, that happened right at the front, and everybody was still packed up behind them. So Yeah, very tricky night for some of these guys. Jason Martin avoided all of that, but I think just about everyone behind him has gotten a piece of it just about.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at some closer replays of Jackson Callow. I'm not sure if there was a fraction of net code, but they each other between him and Mike Brown, and Callow went up the track, but his steering wheel was still turning left, so I don't think he shut it up right. I think there was just like a slight net code issue, and that just put them both in the wall.
Yeah, I'm just trying to review it a bit myself, actually. I could see a little bit of the race driver chat there that Mike Brown certainly of the opinion that Callow came up. You know, there's always two sides to these things, so I'm just trying to get a bit of an idea about what's taken place. It looks as though Callow was holding that bottom line. Oh, look, he might have come up, but it was only a fraction. It was absolutely fractional that's caused that. But with these guys running so close together, I'd say, yeah, look, perhaps looking at it, Callow may have come up, but it was so tiny. It was literally an inch or two that's actually caused that Wonderwall kick off.
Yeah, it was close. You could think Mike Brown, if it was pinching him down there, he could have left a little bit more room, but I mean, that's how.
Yeah, that's stock car racing, isn't it? It's all about inches apart at very high speed, which is what you see to actually cause this. And just while we are under caution again, we might just take a little bit of a look back at the championship contenders. Remember, we went into tonight, we were looking at Michael Skurlock and Matt Danson up there at the top of the championship standing. So at the moment, Michael Skurlock, he's running 5 laps down, but he's in 23rd position, which in a field of 42, he's definitely running solidly in the midfield, despite being quite a few laps down. And Matt Danson, just having a quick look for him, he's actually on the lead lap and he's up there in 10th position. So that's quite a big points turnaround if they finish as they are at the moment. I'm not suggesting for a moment that they will, but certainly a gap that Skurlock is. And from 5 laps down, is Skurlock going to be able to do anything about that? It's very hard to see him even getting any lucky dogs, seeing as we've got quite a few drivers 1 lap down at the moment who are going to get lucky dogs before Skurlock. So Skurlock's almost trapped down there where he is at the moment. And in order to not lose massive ground in the championship, something's going to happen to Matt Danson as well. Now, something has already happened to Matt Danson tonight, but it certainly hasn't affected him as much as Skurlock. So definitely advantage Danson right now in the championship. Has muddled up the order at the front a little bit as well. Now with Mike Brown and Callow getting taken out of the equation, we've got Martin, Mickelmore, Bruce Smith, Ricky Cornwall and Simon Black making up the top 5. And that man, again, he's quiet, flies under the radar. Jason Williams up there in at P6.
Yeah, just taking a look at Danson's truck. He's got a big smack in the rear end, right in the centre. It's pushed in quite a ways, but the front end also has a little bit of damage on the right front. Or yeah, I'd say quite significant damage, but doesn't look too bad. So I think he can probably keep it up to speed. It won't be very fast if they go for a long green flag running. Yeah, I think at the moment he's going to definitely hold his position.
Yeah, not bad at all. And just in terms of our lead lap runners, we did sort of go down as far as top 6. We've got Gareth Anderson up there in the Triple One. He's in 7th position. Matt Danson, as mentioned, lead lap 8th place. Matthew Lawson, they're running in 9th. Jackson Callow recovers to 10th at the moment. And then we've got Matt Hunter and Shane Van Gisbergen as your last 2 trucks on the lead lap. Shane Van Gisbergen is just trying to beat the pace car out of pit lane at the moment. And he's done that. He's just come off the pit lane after getting some damage repaired, as has Matt Hunter. So they will come back around, as will Callow. And I'm not sure if Callow's actually managed to beat the pace car out. He has just managed to beat that pace car out, so that's definitely some Days of Thunder style beating the pace car out of the pit lane, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is, but take a look at the top 3, Jason Martin, Josh Mickelmore and Bruce Smith. So the cream rises to the top.
Certainly does, definitely a quality top 3 there. And we've got Ricky Cornwall in there, the young charger as well, so he's going to definitely try his best. He's not afraid of anyone, Ricky Cornwall. He's going to get in there and try and set the cat amongst the pigeons, as it were.
Yeah, he definitely will. Still some pretty decent guys there in the top 5.
Yeah, but we're down to 12 trucks on the lead lap after that as well. We've lost a ton as well, so hopefully now we're able to get a decent long green flag run in. We've definitely got some very strong drivers up there at the front, so let's see if they're able to hold it all together and give us a great race through to the end of this one.
And really, it's only the top 7 that actually don't look like they've got any damage at all. I know Matthew Lawson in 8th, he's got damage, and I know Danson's got damage. Hunter looks like he's got damage. Gisbergen and Callow, they've got damage.
And they're just trying to sort themselves out here as well, as directed by iRacing, but they're coming to the green flag, so I think they coded the green flag. No, they got another lap under pace car, which is quite lucky because there were a few of the. I think that iRacing does give the order for the lap trucks to drop to the rear, but they only do that once the guys who are still on the lead lap come back around, and there's a whole bunch of sorting out to be done. So they've done that now, and we're going to run around one more time before we go green.
Still sort of sorting themselves out in the middle there. Maxfield's squeezing through the middle, and hopefully they get it sorted out.
Yeah, we all know that iRacing can be a bit conflicting in its instructions sometimes. You'll be rolling around there in the pack, it'll tell you to let someone pass, it'll tell you to overtake them again and things like that. So there might be a little bit of that going on. Of course, we have pit stops in there as well and everything, which can confuse the system a little bit, but it looks as though they have got themselves tidied up now. Although it looks like Shane Van Gisbergen's just dropping a little bit off. I'm not sure if he's been given the instruction to let guys by. But anyway, back at the front, we've got the two JMs, Jason Martin, Josh Bicklemore on the front row, followed by Bruce Smith, who's no longer got Jackson Callow there with him, but he has got Ricky Cornwall there on the outside. Then we've got Simon Black having a great run up there in the top 5, and Jason Williams, and Matt Hunter and Gareth Anderson, and that will be your order as they lead away.
Yeah, just taking a look at Jason. He goes fairly early again. This time gets a great shot out on Micklemore, but Micklemore closes the gap, gets down low and cuts off Bruce Smith, trying to make any position there.
Yeah, he brutally shut the door, didn't he? He saw Bruce getting a bit of a run. He's like, nope, this second place is mine. I am the one who's going to chase Jason Martin. And they've done that. They've all sort of run out single file through this first turn 1 and 2, which I think is a fairly good strategy given the action, let's say, that we've seen so far.
And I'm just having a look at Ricky Cornwall. I didn't think he had damage, but he actually does. I'm just having a look at his cockpit. He's sort of pushed up on the left front, but he seems to be making pretty decent speed. Remember, he was in the first wreck. Managed to save that.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah, he certainly was. From the miracle man, Jason Williams, who managed to get through that wreck we saw earlier on just by the tiniest of margins on all sides of that truck. But he's coming under pressure at the moment. See if Jason's actually got the speed to make a move. He may not, but time will tell on the long runs whether or not he's got the whether that little bit of damage that Cornwall's actually got is going to cost him any speed or tyre wear over the long run.
That quite a bit. You'd think it'd have a little bit of aero damage at least, sort of pushing the truck. See if he can sort of keep a tight line, but yeah, Jason Williams definitely all over the back of him. Yeah,
certainly is. So I think that's almost the tightest battle on the track at the moment. If you look a little bit further back, we have got a couple of guys just running too wide. That's going to be Matt Hunter and Skurlock, who's down to 4 laps down now. So I don't know if he didn't pit in that last caution just in order to get his lap back, but he's still making good pace as well. So either way, he's gained a lap back. He's only 4 laps off the lead now, and he's going to need a bit of a miracle to get that back up there on the lead lap. But crucially now, he's only 5 places behind that down.
Yeah, still taking a look just up the front here. Bruce Smith's all over the back of Josh Micklemore, and Jason Martin seems to be trying to flirt with the outside line. They're all taking different lines, actually, trying to get around each other.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? And Jason's sort of just experimenting, as he's known to do, sort of around the track. He's normally got a fair idea of where the best tyre-saving line is, but he's got 2 very quick guys behind him, so he might just be trying to keep that gap at the moment as well and not allow them to potentially make any moves on him. And as you say, we've got Bruce Smith all over the back of Josh Bicklemore at the moment. Just gets a wheel on the apron there, which has lost him a little bit of momentum. But it remains to be seen whether he's actually got the pace to really mount a challenge to look at taking that position off Micklemore. But he'll definitely throw everything at it, you can guarantee.
Yeah, he's not letting him getting away. He's sort of just hugging a sort of tighter line there through turns 3 and 4. He's comes across the start-finish line heading into turn 1. He's still only a couple of truck lengths away. He seems to be gaining again.
Yeah, it's a tight battle, isn't it? And the battle goes on between Jason Williams and Ricky Cornwall just behind. So we've got one out on his own, then a gang of 2, then a gang of 2 fighting over these positions. And then they're all sort of strung out a little bit behind. Bruce Smith really just diving for that low line now, having a look underneath Josh Micklemore. Looks as though he's really sent it down in there, that corner. Will he get up in front of Josh? He has done. And we've got a change for second place. Bruce Smith has taken P2 and is now going to look at fending off Josh Micklemore and just ranging up on the back of Jason Martin.
Yeah, that was a great power move through turns 3 and 4. He sort of did a touch of a slide job coming off turn 4, but we'll see if he can run down Martin now. Martin doesn't seem to be getting away from these guys.
No, he doesn't, but I was just watching him as you were just talking about that through 1 and 2, and he was holding that high line again. So, as we know, it's not the faster line, but it probably is the better line for tyres. So, remains to be seen with that gap that he's got there at the moment. He wants to preserve those tyres, or if he thinks that we're going to get some more short runs like we've had so far in the night before the next caution, it might actually pay to push and just use up a bit more of the grip he's got available to him to try and extend that gap with Bruce Smith behind. But Bruce has, but you can see from the amount of pressure that he was putting on Mickelmore how much pace he actually had, because he has cleared out and he's just about got the same gap behind to Mickelmore as the gap in front of Jason Martin.
Yeah, he does. Jason was very high on entry through turns 1. He sort of came down to the middle of the track exiting turn 2, and Bruce Smith sort of still took that traditional line. Let's see if he sort of moves up the track and sees what Jason's doing. Yeah, just a little bit high, but now Jason's back to the bottom.
Okay, so we've got a fairly standard top 3 at the moment. We'll just take a quick look back to see how this battle between Ricky Cornwall and Jason Williams is shaping up. Jason Williams still sat in there behind Ricky. It doesn't look as though he may have the pace to make a move, but who is making a move at the moment? Definitely Michael Skurlock from 4 laps down. Actually, looking back at it, looks as though Michael Skurlock has just unlapped himself on, where was he? 6th place truck, Simon Black in the 351. So he's just made Michael Skurlock just made his way past them, and he's going to start pulling up onto the back of the Cornwall Williams battle now as well, coming out on what I believe to be fresher tyres than everyone else, looking at the pace that he's running.
Yeah, Jason Williams almost got underneath Ricky Cornwall. I'm pretty sure he did actually, he just couldn't hold it coming off turn 4 as he goes down low again. Cornwall's just another better half truck width up above and gets a better run off the corner. That's just hurting Jason Williams, just can't get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And just we were just talking about Callow earlier on, and he was one of the guys involved in that most recent incident. He's sitting there on the lead lap in 11th place, only approximately 1.5 seconds behind Shane Van Gisbergen in the so not too far now for Callow to get himself back into that top 10 if he's able to.
The problem with him is Matt Danson's just 1 spot behind him, so he's not going to do too well in the standings at this point. But yeah, right idea.
Okay, so just looking back towards the front now, it looks as though Jason Williams has got a bit of overlap there on Ricky Cornwall. Not really sure whether the momentum he's got on the bottom line is going to be enough to take him past the 15, but he's certainly going to give it a go. And they're actually coming up on a lap truck as well, so will Jason Williams try to use this as a pit? He has done. He's absolutely boxed Cornwall in there behind Cheney. Move done that way, and he's just sliced up in front of Cornwall. Cornwall now jumping back to the bottom, and now it's roles reversed. Cornwall trying to make it stick around the bottom on Jason Williams. He definitely traffic as a pick as much as possible, but looks as though Cornwall has managed to get back around Jason Williams, but washes up the track, and now we've got Jason Williams back down on the bottom of Cornwall again, and it's back to the way it was with Williams down on the inside of Cornwall trying to make that stick, and he looks like he's got that position back. Cornwall not wanting to give up on the outside, but I think he's going to have to for the moment. But is he going to try the switch back?
Goes for it.
And he's just gone back down to the bottom, and they're just changing turn by turn by turn, lap by lap by lap. There's another lap truck coming up in front, and it looks as though Ricky Cornwall is going to get the best of that, and Williams is going to be forced to slot back in behind again. That's Nicholas Walsh going another lap down there.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, sort of got held up there. There was a good battle, but I think Williams will get back to him. Taking the inside line at the moment to gain some ground. He just couldn't get off turn 4 on the inside. That was his problem.
Yeah, he just couldn't get it done, could he? But as soon as he did get it done and managed to slide that tailgate right up in front of Cornwall, Cornwall had just dumped back to the bottom. It was a great exchange between the pair of them. Absolutely fantastic. That is what stock car racing is all about, exactly what you just saw there.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, so just having a look back at the front now, just keeping an eye on the gap. It looks as though Jason Martin has extended slightly on Bruce Smith, who appears to have enough pace to keep Josh Mickelmore at bay. And those top 3, with that battle that was going on behind, you know, they say that staying in line and working together is the fastest way around a racetrack, and there is an illustration of it, because Ricky Cornwall and Jason Williams through that battle are now 6 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. And I was just having a look at Bruce Smith coming off turn 4 before, and he was chasing the truck a little bit, chasing it up the track. So, you know, tyre wear's definitely come in now. It's a decent green flag run. I think we'll continue to see it. Wouldn't surprise me if it goes the rest of the way. I'm not sure if they need another pit stop, but I think they do.
Yeah, I think for tyres, if nothing else, I know that the tyres are going off fairly quickly here. And just having a look actually a little bit further back in the pack, we've got Matthew Lawson. And he's going along there in the number 9, and he's just trying to split quite a few lap trucks there at the moment. He's trying to get around Cheney, and I think that's is that Walsh there as well. and potentially can't even see who that other truck is at the moment, but just trying to make his way through that, because he's actually not that far off Gareth Anderson in the 111. There might actually be Gareth just in front of him. It is in the 111, and there's quite a battle going on there. I think that over the last couple of laps, Lawson's been getting closer, closer and closer, and Matt Hunter is just following them through as well. It's a great run from Hunter tonight. He's actually up there in 9th. So this is the battle of 7th, 8th and 9th, and Gareth Anderson leading that train at the moment, but who's to say it's going to remain that way for very much longer. And I think that Shane van Gisbergen has just actually sat behind those guys at the moment. I think he's really showing all the pace that he's got, because we did see him with a bit of damage before. The visual damage doesn't look too much, but it really doesn't appear as though van Gisbergen's actually got the pace to make too many inroads on the leaders tonight.
Oh, and Gareth Anderson's actually pulled off well down below the apron. I don't know if he's coming to pit lane. He sort of left that really early to get to pit lane. I'm not sure if he knew he could come off turn 4. He just didn't want to get run up from behind, but he's on pit lane at the...
Yeah, maybe he didn't pit earlier on or something like that to need to come to the pit road now, because he's definitely out of sequence, isn't he? So he's just pulling up in his pit box. Looks as though he's taking service. Yep, he is getting tyres. So he's coming in for tyres and fuel, and we'll see him back on the track fairly shortly, hopefully. But he has gone a lap down in the meantime, so perhaps he's hoping to get a bit of an undercut in some of the other trucks if they need to come to the lane very shortly. But we'll see if it works out for him.
Yeah, I'd say that's it. Probably just going for the undercut. I mean, his truck looks pretty clean, but he pulled up on that pit stop very far back. I'm surprised they didn't get him to move forward. It must have been on the verge of not being in the pit box.
Yeah, he was very far back, wasn't he? I was actually thinking the same thing, but yeah, it looks as though he got service first time, so no harm, no foul. Jason Martin still continues to lead. He's pulled out 1.7 seconds over Bruce Smith, who's sitting around about the same distance just up there ahead of Josh Mickelmore, so it's fairly well spread out in the front. And we've still got Ricky Cornwall and Jason Williams going at it as well. They just haven't let up. We've got Jason Williams all over the back of him again, and I imagine we're going to see another exchange between these two sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, it's good. Looking good. I just sort of caught Jason Martin on the radio. I'm not sure what he was saying, if he was coming to the pits or not, but he's out on track at the moment, so he did come down.
I think he was actually just lapping another car, so it could just be a little bit of communication between the pair of them.
And Mickelmore just falling off the back of these guys, but yeah, he's pretty much stagnant there. Him and Bruce picked up some tyres there, but Jason definitely on the high side there early in the run, saved their big tyre and running out.
Yeah, we've got Jason Williams just on the inside of Ricky Cornwall at the moment. So he's just got that move done, and we're seeing exactly the same thing again. He runs out wide and down underneath him. These guys could do this all day. You get your feel, don't you?
Yeah, they do. Gets a good run on the top side. Now, I think he does actually. He's going to come off turn 2 pretty well. And the back stretch, get a good run. I don't know if he can clear him though.
Oh, he's very, very, very close. Yeah, he finally does clear him. And Williams now going to have another look to the inside of Ricky Cornwall. I mean, if these two aren't enjoying this, they're not going to enjoy anything about stock car racing, because this has been great between them all night.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, they'll be having the ball.
All right, we've actually got Matt Hunter, who's starting to range up on the back of Shane van Gisbergen now as well. So van Gisbergen has fallen another couple of seconds off the lead, and Matt Hunter really just working away on the back of that 97 truck now as well. So that's going to be the next closest battle, I suppose. That gap is closing all the time, so we'll just keep an eye on that one and actually see what happens once Hunter gets up close to the back of van Gisbergen.
He's catching him.
Yeah, he's certainly catching up. Not quite with him yet, the V8 Supercar champ, of course, but I'm sure Matt Hunter will be relishing the opportunity to put a move on his fellow Kiwi, but he's working away there. And just cutting back now to Ricky Cornwall and Jason Williams. They are side by side once more, and these two are putting on enough entertainment to last the rest of the race, I think, between the two of them. I think they just made the slightest amount of contact coming out of 4, possibly, and Williams now slotting in there behind Cornwall once again. These guys are costing themselves massive amounts of time, so the leaders will just continue and swap in. Do you think they care? I don't think they care at all.
No, they don't. It's actually quite fun to watch Shane van Gisbergen, sort of reminiscent of Kyle Larson. He's right up there on the fence. These two, Ricky Cornwall, Jason Williams, they're still going at it here, coming out of turn 4. Williams gets a decent run, actually, coming onto the front stretch.
Yeah, pretty decent run coming out there. He's Cornwall's just doing his best. It seems whichever one of these trucks is in the lead at the time, the lead between the two of them, of course, I mean, they're just trying their best to just take that traditional line and really take the most speed that they possibly can. But the guy in there behind him is sort of forcing them then around the track and all the rest of it. So, yeah, it's been a great battle between those two so far. But just having a look back possibly at some of the lower down runners, we've sort of been talking a lot about the guys who are on the lead lap, which is your top 11 at the moment. But looking back, the car in the lucky dog position at the moment is actually Gareth Anderson. We saw him run into the pits earlier on. And he's first truck on the one lap down at the moment. So if the caution were to come out now and Gareth Anderson isn't involved, he would get that lap back under the rules of ANZCAR racing. And then 2 laps down from there, in 13th place, we've got Tristan Yelland. Michael Skurlock is still sitting 4 laps down, just ahead of Will Barrington, who's 7 laps down. And there's actually 3 trucks that are 7 laps down, and that's Will Barrington, Aaron Dillon, and Todd Maxfield. And then from there, we're getting down in amongst Bomford, Cheney, and so on, who are double-digit laps down and probably won't have the opportunity to feature any higher up in this race tonight, unfortunately for them. But they are going to continue around because in stock car racing, every finisher gets a point. So it's worth staying out there on the track and trying to get as many positions as possible.
Yeah, we've got about 35 laps to go, so these leaders are probably going to be starting to think about pit stops. I think Gareth Anderson will actually gain a lot of position, but if this thing keeps going green, these guys get on their fresh tyres, he's sort of like a rock. I don't know if it was helpful for him coming in early or not. Sure.
And Matt Danson has just become the lucky dog truck. He's dropped down behind Jason Martin. He's just been lapped. Unfamiliar territory for Matt Danson, of course, carrying a lot of damage. We saw him with smoke just coming out of that truck earlier on, so he's taken quite a bit of a repair, doing quite well to only be 1 lap down actually with the amount of damage that we saw him carrying before. But you don't often see Danson get lapped. I can't imagine he's enjoying it too much, but he's down there in 11th at the moment, and he's still, even with this bad scenario for him, the champ very much more in his favour the way things sit at the moment. So he'll continue to run around, pick up the points, and will probably emerge from here with the championship lead, you'd imagine, if things stay as they are.
I think so, and that's all he can do. I know it's frustrating and it's not fun sort of being out there getting passed all the time. Really can't do much, but yeah, it's all about points, and he's got to be in the race to get those points.
Okay, so just as you were saying that, Daniel, 3rd place Josh Mickelmore has run into the pit lane, so he's obviously had enough of those tyres. He's coming to the pits with 30 laps to go, so he obviously believes that he can run competitively for 30 laps on this last set of tyres. So he's going to come out of the pits. We'll see where Jason Martin is, see if he actually drops a lap. I imagine he probably would. I think he probably has actually, but he's running down there. Just he's dropping in the order as all the trucks come across the line. So Josh Mickelmore coming out of the pits at the moment. He's going to be on fresh tyres. He's going for the undercut. That's why he's done it. That's why he's done it earlier than anyone else. And we'll see if Bruce Smith responds. He hasn't yet.
They're running a couple of, at least quick laps on fresh tyres, so Mickelmore was about 2 seconds behind, so if Bruce Smith sort of stays out there, I think he can Josh.
Yeah, Josh probably will get him, but it remains to be seen if his because he obviously hasn't had quite as good a tyre life as Bruce Smith or Jason Martin. So if of course that's going to be exacerbated after Smith and Martin come to the pits, they're going to have a tyre advantage over him when they come out. The advantage that Mickelmore's trying to get out of this is actually getting these couple of fast laps in while those other two stay on the track and actually jump them in the pits and hopefully be able to hold them off to the end of the race. But remains to be seen whether he manages to do it, but certainly a good idea and worth a try.
Martin's in heavy traffic at the moment, so we'll probably wait another lap to get away from them so they don't run up the back of him before he comes off.
Always something you've got to worry about, isn't it, with green flag pit stops? Not only getting your truck down to the required speed. We just had Aaron Dillon bounce off the wall, actually. Aaron Dillon has bounced right off that wall as he was trying to give way to Martin, and I'm not sure if any of the other guys got involved with him. I think his teammate Walsh might have been involved in that. And we've stayed green, but definitely some damage on those guys. And Walsh and Dillon have taken to the bottom of the track, just rolling around on the apron. It looks as though it might be night over for those guys, and they're both running a fair few laps off the pace as it was.
Yeah, now Martin, I think he just saw that lap traffic ahead of him and thought, oh, they're going to slow me down, so he's just hitting pit road now. He gets on it pretty quick, and the yellow flag comes out.
Caution out just as Jason Martin gets onto pit road, so I don't think that Bruce Smith had time to follow him. No, Bruce Smith is still out on the track, and let's just try and have a quick look to see what brought that caution out. I'm not sure if it was that issue with Walsh and Dillon, or whether it was somebody else. I can only assume that it was, because I can't see too many other trucks in trouble.
Here's Aaron Dillon. He's lost it. What he's done actually, he's come off turn 2 on the apron, and he's lost it 3/4 of the way down the back straight on the apron.
Well, that's bizarre, isn't it?
I think he just stamped the brakes and unfortunately went up on the track and hit the inside wall and brought out the safety car. I'm not sure like where the actual entrance of pit road is, if Jason Martin made it before the yellow flag came out.
I think he did. I think it was very, very, very marginal, but I think he did. But I'm just trying to figure out what Aaron Dillon was doing there. I think you're right. He's just sort of stepped on the brakes and just actually looped that truck and bounced back on and caused a caution. Entirely unnecessary. Looks as though he almost accelerated a bit towards the wall as well. So, I don't really know what to make of that, I'm afraid. I'm not inside his head. I'm not inside his truck, so I couldn't tell you. Bruce Smith coming to the lane now, though. It looks like just about everyone coming to the lane. Ricky Cornwall in as well. Just having a look to see where Jason Martin is. Jason's back out on track, and we'll see whether he gets a closed pit penalty, because he was very, very, very close with that caution coming out. So hopefully he hasn't been issued a penalty. He certainly doesn't deserve one, but if he hadn't yet crossed that pit line at the time that the caution flag came out, of course the pit's closed at the second that the yellow flag actually flies. They've been caught out by that, and he may have to go to the back of the field, but let's hope not for the sake of the race.
Yeah, to me it looks like the yellow flag just came out about when he was in the midway point between the first set of cones and the second set of cones. I'm just not sure which set of cones actually lane at that stage, but he'll be very unlucky if he gets it, because like at that stage he's just got nowhere to go. Can't do anything.
Yeah, he couldn't have pulled out. He'd already gone past the commitment cone. As far as he couldn't have. There was really nothing else he could do. So we'll have a look what happens once everyone catches back up and sorts themselves out. At the moment, it doesn't look like he's got a penalty, but it remains to be seen whether he does or not. And if he does, and he has to go to the back of the grid, that's going to be an absolute open goal for Bruce Smith to run away with this one.
Will be, but at the moment, yeah, Jason's still in the lead. Yeah, we'll just have to wait. I think it's the last lap for Green that he has to drop back, so we'll see. But yeah, Bruce Smith in second. Where did Mick Moore end up in all that?
Mick Moore's in 10th on the lead lap, and that has come out at the worst possible time for Mick Moore. I think Jason Williams is in the same boat, because he's actually just in there behind Josh as well. He's just come down, pitted under green, tried to get that undercut, and just when his tyres were in the sweet spot, just when he had the pace advantage over everybody else, the caution's come out, and he's not able to use that pace anymore. And of course now he's out on track, but everybody else is just taking fresh tyres, and he hasn't had a chance to gain any of the spots back that he had. So that has really come out. We did say at the start of the broadcast, didn't we, that you've got to make your strategy decisions on the fly, and unfortunately Josh Mickelmore gambled and lost, and that's all it comes down to, really. It's just a gamble he took, and it just didn't fall his way.
Caution came out a couple of laps quickly there, but we've only got 25 laps to go, so he's going to take the wave around. But the unfortunate thing about that is he's going to start behind absolutely everybody. Doing and so,
he's not only just going to start behind everybody, he's also going to start behind everybody else on older tyres. He's got a couple of laps on his tyres, everybody else just pitted, so he's got to get the wave around, but the advantage he was hoping to gain out of doing that undercut has not worked out for him at all. And after all of that, we got Jackson Callow coming back on track. I believe he's in P9 and on the lead lap as well. So we'll see if he's able to do anything on the fresh tyres he's probably got on right now.
Yeah, he's in a pretty hard wreck. He hit that wall pretty hard, so to stay on the lead lap's actually really good. But like I say, Matt Danson in front of him, who also had that big wreck too, and he's on the lead lap still.
Yeah, Matt Danson, we did see just go one lap down, didn't we? So he's obviously managed to gain that lap back amongst all of that, which is good for him. And we've, given the lack of pace that he's had tonight, we've got Shane Van Gisbergen up there in 4th, pretty much on strategy alone. That's worked out brilliantly for him. And Simon Black, we haven't talked a great deal about him, but he's up there in 3rd place as well. So fantastic run from him. And they're going 2x2 now, ready for the restart. And there's some new faces there at the front. Matthew Lawson, Matt Hunter up there as well. So, yeah, a few guys having a good run. As many guys as we've got having a bad run, we've got a few guys up there having a good time with it as well.
There's a pace car ducks in left. We're about to go green flag. See where Jason goes this time. He's a bit later, but he's off. He gets a good gap.
All right, so Bruce Smith has got away pretty well, and Simon Black's got away pretty well as well. He's going to slot in there ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen. Looks as though, we got another wreck in behind. I think it's Nicholas Walsh. Was that Walsh? No, I'm not sure. Just have to go back and have a quick look. That just came out of the mid-pack there. Probably a bit early. Somebody making quite an aggressive restart there.
Yeah, I think it was Tristan Yellen. He got a up in the back from the 45, I think, on end. And the 17 inside ball.
Yeah, it looks as though Yellen was blinking in and out as well, actually. So it may have net code or just a bit of blinking may have had something to do with that. He's certainly blinking from my point of view. And anybody who's for any sim races out there, you know, very, very difficult to drive close proximity with somebody who's blinking in and out. It looks like he's just reappeared there, possibly in front of one of the DPR Benmax trucks and gone around. Unfortunate for him, but it doesn't look like it looks like his internet connection failed him there more than anyone else on track.
Yeah, I think the telltale sign. Terry wasn't a 45 car, it was a 15. But he's got no damage on the front end, so yeah, I think they just the lock there. So whatever they do during that code and end of the night for Tristan Allen.
Yeah, so he was up there in a good 13th position as well, but that truck's spewing smoke now out the back of that number 17. So he's going to be in for some lengthy repairs once he finally gets around to the pit lane, and they'll reset and get ready to go again.
And now Josh Mickelmore will probably come down and grab another 4 for size. He does. I think he's just hitting pit lane now while the rest are out.
That's a pretty smart decision, actually, by Josh Mickelmore, Callow and Danson are all coming in together. And this is a good opportunity for them. If you think about it, they're quite close to the back of the field anyway, as far as the lead lap cars go. Jason Williams has done exactly the same thing, and he is the last track on the lead lap. So they've all come in the pits, get fresh boots. So now that the swings and roundabouts that we talk about, that's actually swung again. And now these guys, although they're going to be at the back of the pack, they're all going to be on fresher tyres. And especially guys like Mickelmore, Callow, Danson, and Jason Williams for that matter, they can all overtake. They've all got the ability to really make aggressive moves as Mickelmore steams his way out of the pit lane. And these guys are now going to have a tyre advantage. And are going to, hopefully, they're going to look to slice their way through the traffic and move back up towards the front.
Yeah, and they will start to sort of get wave around in the cars in front of them that don't fit. They will end up sort of at the back of the lead back there. So yeah, it's a great move for them. I think it will serve Josh pretty well. I think Jackson Callow and Danson, they're damaged, but Jason Williams is pretty good too, and we know he's pretty racing.
Yeah, he kind of just quietly picks up places, doesn't he, Jason? I think the hardest I've seen him race is in that early exchange with Cornwall. You just you don't think too much about him, and then he just kind of pops up. But anyway, he's sitting there as the last truck, or second last truck now on the lead lap, as Gareth Anderson has taken the wave around, and we'll come back onto the lead lap. And so now we've got 12 trucks sitting there on the lead lap, and 4 of those very fast drivers with fresh tyres, everybody else on tyres with a couple of laps on them. So Jason Martin leading Bruce Smith, Simon Black, as we mentioned, Shane Van Gisbergen in 4th, Matthew Lawson, Matt Hunter, Ricky Cornwall, and as we mentioned before, Josh Mickelmore, Callow, Williams, Danson, and Gareth Anderson. They are your lead lap trucks in that order.
Yeah, only 20 laps to go now. The things are going to start to get pretty intense, especially along the lead pack. I'll be interested to see if Bruce Smith sort of get up there and challenge Jason here. That'll be a good race. He hasn't got much time to do it, so it's going to be pretty much on the 3 start.
Yeah, so he's got around about just under 20 laps to actually get that done. From what we saw earlier on, there wasn't much evidence that Smith was able to necessarily... He looked as though he's catching Martin, and then he sort of fell away a little bit as Martin's tyre conservation sort of came into play as well. But I think for at least part of that last segment that we were watching, Bruce was actually fighting a lot with Josh Mickelmore, so that could have been part of the reason that he lost some of that tyre life. So in a straight fight between these two leaders, very interesting to see who comes out on top. Jason Martin making his trademark dummy towards the pit lane there. Annoys everybody behind him, I can tell you from experience. But he's done that and certainly not gone to the pits. The pit stop now making no sense at all.
No, and I don't think he pulled many people in that too. As the field line up side by side now. Lights are out on the safety car, 1 to go.
All right, so yeah, as mentioned, they're all filing in, lining up 2 by 2, getting ready to go. They will do that double file restart that we always do, and Jason Martin will lead them as he usually does, and we'll see. My eyes really are going to be on these guys further back in the pack that we saw going to the pit lane before, so Mickelmore, Callow, Williams, Matt Danson there as well on those fresh tyres. Those are the guys I'm really interested to see how they're going to go. I think we've got a fairly good idea of what the pace of the guys who are sitting right at the front looks like, but what those guys are going to be able to do a bit further back on fresh tyres, that's going to be very interesting. Keep an eye on them.
Yeah, well, we got Mickelmore lined up fourth on the outside row. He's got Jackson Keller on the inside, which I don't think will be too much of a bother to him. I'm pretty sure he's still damaged, but Jason Williams behind him will be frustrating. Got Danson coming through the middle now to take his spot. Also,
just at the last minute, didn't he? Yeah. Okay, so pace car off. Field under Jason Martin's control. Jason goes. Bruce Smith tries to go with him. In comparison to most of the other trucks, it doesn't look like his second place is going to come under too much threat from Simon Black there, who's got Shane Van Gisbergen for company right there around the outside. Matthew Lawson now tucking inside the Red Bull Racing man as he I think, Van Gisbergen carrying a little bit of engine damage there, and actually a fair bit of traffic bottling up there behind Van Gisbergen as Martin streaks away down the back straight. And we've got Ricky Cornwall going around the outside. Josh Mickelmore, he's the one we were watching, going around the outside of Van Gisbergen as well, looking to start to attack those guys who are on the older tyres in front. So Ricky Cornwall's just looking to go around the outside of Lawson. He's carrying a lot of speed. Looks like he's going to get that move done. Lawson fighting back on the inside. Mickelmore wondering which one to back, which horse to back as he comes off for two. In the end, they're going to go 3 wide. We've got Mickelmore looking to take the both of them on those fresh tyres. We did say watch for him, and there he goes. He's actually taken Lawson, and he's going to definitely have a good stab at getting past Cornwall as well. Look at him go.
Yeah, he's definitely got it down on the inside. He'll take that position across the line. He'll go and turn one on the inside with the fresher tyres and much race away from Cornwall. Climbing all over the back of Simon Black now.
Yeah, Jason Williams has made good spots as well. He's got past Shane Van Gisbergen as well. Jackson Callow's now got past Van Gisbergen as well. And just looking to see what Matt Danson's going to be able to do. Haven't seen too much extra pace out of him. He is carrying that damage, of course, though. We did see that he wasn't overly fast before carrying that damage around.
No, he wasn't. I don't think he's going to get up there to battle for anyone. But Josh Mickelmore all over the back now of Black, who tries the high side in turn one, see if he can get a good run through the corner, which I think he will, and he'll get a good run off the back straight down the back.
You're back in to do it. Yeah, he's absolutely done that. Absolutely done that. Got a bit of a piece of the wall, but he's going to really start. He's done what he needs to do, and that's clear that mid-pack. And next he's actually got for Smith and Martin in front. Jason Williams is coming through as well. Jason Williams is going to blow by Ricky Cornwall, who was battling so hard with him earlier on, but he's probably on those new tyres going to be able to blow by him and Simon Black. They're both running a bit of roadblock as they battle together at the moment. The Williams is definitely going to look to get that done. I expected that Callow would come forward a little bit quicker, but we did see him with a bit of damage earlier on as well, so that could be hampering him somewhat in his bid to get higher towards the front.
I just took a look at Josh's car. Doesn't look too damaged. He's got, Black almost up in the contact there with Ricky Cornwall. Didn't happen though. He gave a lot of room. They got away from him.
And of course, that's kind of pushed Simon Black back into the clutches of Jason Williams, as we mentioned, on those fresh tyres. Williams ducks down underneath. I think Simon's been around long enough not to fight that one too hard. He's just going to try and hang out around the outside there and run him down the straight. Just gets a bit of piece of the wall as I say that, but that's allowed Jason Williams to clear him and go to work on the back of his old mate Ricky Cornwall.
Callow's actually got a little bit of pace there. He's battling Lawson.
Yeah, he's pushing up now, isn't he? I'm just surprised he didn't actually go as quick as some of the other two working their way through. He seems to be getting the pace going now, but he just seemed to take a little while to get going on those new tyres, didn't he?
Oh, sorry, it was right at the front. Got Bruce Smith all over the back.
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely closed that down while we were watching Mickelmore behind, weren't we? He's closed that gap down. This is about as close as he got to Martin. His tyre life was a little bit better than Bruce's, and he started to pull away. But let's see what Bruce is actually able to do, because he's really working away on the back of that purple number 32.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a gap now, but just as I said that, it looked like he was underneath the 32 there.
Yeah, so he is just as that gap down. There's still a little bit of a buffer back to Martin, so we'll keep an eye on that battle at the front. It is going to be the battle for the win, it looks like. Josh Mickelmore, I'm just keeping an eye on his times as well. Is he closing down these leaders? There's only 10 laps to go, so if he's going to 0.2 second gap up to the leaders. He's going to have to get on with it. I'm not sure that he's necessarily going to have that much of a tyre advantage to get it done. And in fact, he's actually lost time on Jason Martin that time around. So maybe he has used the best of his tyres, getting his way through that traffic and up to third. We've got, believe it or not, Ricky Cornwall, Jason Williams side by side again. This time Jason Williams has got the definite advantage of those new tyres we mentioned before. So we'll see if he's actually able to complete this move and hang on to it, or whether Ricky's going to get down underneath him again and they're just going to fight like crazy to the end of the race again. Looks as though you'd say that Jason Williams has got that move done, but Cornwall not one to give up. And I'm sure he's going to try and fight back. But how much he's actually going to be able to do on those slightly older tyres, I'm not sure.
And just behind them, you've got Matt Hunter, Matthew Lawson, and Simon Black. They're having a pretty decent battle too. Pretty sure Matthew Lawson's actually going to come to the same problem here that Cornwall Williams had earlier, and he's just not going to be able to get around the 351 car. See, we've got Matt Hunter on the high side. He's having a good run too. Might actually get there.
Yeah, he's having a good run, isn't he? And Lawson's just sticking to that bottom line at the moment. I think he's just wanting to do his absolute best to bring home this solid top 10 finish and perhaps not run the risk of banging into anyone, but he's getting plenty of space there, plenty of respect from Matt Hunter running around there on the outside. And Simon Black, who was right up there in third position, has fallen back down to seventh as those fast drivers on those fresh tyres, as we mentioned, have come through. And now he's going to come under pressure from Matt Hunter as well. So, yeah, it's a bit of a frenetic end now for Simon Black.
Yeah, but Matt Hunter's looking very racy. He almost got the position there done. He's about to turn left now, sort of cost him some speed as he looks on the inside now of Black, and then the outside.
Yeah, he's trying all over the track, isn't he, Hunter? He's certainly experimenting with the track as it's trying to really search for that grip and find what line he can use to use that pace. That bit of a pace advantage he's actually got to get by Black. Whether or not he's going to be able to get through, well, he's certainly got a few laps left to do it now, so if he's going to do it, he better do it soon. And just keeping an eye on that lead battle as well, it looks as though Jason Martin is now extending that gap back out to Bruce Smith. So that challenge that Smith was able to offer looked to have been fairly short-lived, unfortunately, for the excitement of the race. But Martin certainly, if he brings this one home, is going to be deserving of it, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's had a very good race. Got Bruce on the high line, but I don't think he's going to get there. It looks like Mickelmore's actually in on Bruce Smith. We'll see if he can up there and battle for second. Only got 5 laps to go.
Yeah, he certainly is catching him. I think it might be a little bit too little too late. I think Bruce Smith has used up the majority of his tyre life just trying to fight for that win, as you can well imagine he would do. But now Mickelmore closing in on him. I'm not sure if he's going to have the necessary pace advantage to get him. Jason Williams has cleared Ricky Cornwall now. He's about a second ahead of him. So that shows what the tyre life can do. And perhaps next, the next battle we're going to look at is actually Callow closing up on the back of Cornwall as well. Remember, Callow was another one to take those tyres and does seem to have a lot more pace than Cornwall at the minute. And I think we're going to see Callow round him up fairly shortly.
Yeah, it's been a brilliant drive by Callow, actually. Even if he can stay top 6, or if he can actually pick this top 5 off. But I mean, he hit the wall pretty hard early on during that race, and I didn't expect to see him this far up in the order.
Nor did I. I'm fairly sure, and I could be wrong in saying this, but I'm fairly sure he was actually, as he takes a look to the inside, I'm fairly sure he was actually a lap down earlier on in this race. So it's been a great recovery drive for him, and a really mature drive as well to keep his head and come back through the field. And he's done it superbly well. Credit where it's due. Looks like he's about to go for a top 5 here. Probably, you'd imagine, with the various tyre lives there, actually get that. And if he does, coming back from where he was to a top 5, outstanding job.
Yeah, they didn't give too much room between the two of them just there. They had a good run coming off turn 2 last time. Ricky Cornwall might have thrown the block a little bit, but Jackson Callow's not right there at the moment.
Yeah, well, you would, wouldn't you? You're coming into a couple of laps to go. You've got a top 5 to defend, so why wouldn't Ricky race him absolutely as hard as he can? I just hope it doesn't end in tears between the two of them, because both of them they're not strangers to panel damage. These two, let's put it that way.
No, they're not. You got Callow right up behind him too. He takes a high line coming off turn 2. See if he can get that good run down the straight like he did last time.
He's trying everywhere, isn't he?
He is. Meanwhile, I think Jason's just started his last lap. But yeah, I think Callow gets a good run through turns 3 and 4 here. Yeah, he does again.
He's able to hold it a lot lower, isn't he? But Cornwall's placing that truck really well. He's just breaking Callow's momentum as he comes off the turn. We'll just cut back to Jason Martin now, because he is halfway through his final lap, a bit more than that actually. Just about to come around for what will likely be a superb victory just ahead of Bruce with Smith. And then after we see Jason cross the line, we will just cut back and have a look to see how this battle resolves between Callow and Cornwall. All right, so Jason Martin does cross the line to win that one. Absolutely dominant performance. So we'll just cut back. It looks as though Ricky Cornwall is going to hold off Jackson Callow. Good job there. It was the truck on older tyres as well, so great drive from the pair of them. And as the rest of the trucks come in and come home, it looks as though Matt Hunter just managed to pip Simon Black at the line. Very, very close, by less than a tenth of a second between the two of them. But Jason Martin, your winner. He dominated tonight. I think if he did look like he was coming under pressure at some stage, and if you remember further back, he did lose the lead to Mike Brown just briefly, but never really looked like he was too panicked, did he?
No, not at all. He pretty much ran a very strong race there, but that was a very, very good race. I enjoyed that race tonight. It was a lot cleaner than last week. Some battles going on, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a bit of a concerning start, wasn't it? It was such a big field there, and a couple of wrecks and a few shorter runs. But once we got into the stride, the race really did develop quite well. And Jason Martin, a worthy winner. And I think that I don't think there are any undeserving high finishes tonight. I think that everybody especially who got to the top 10, top 12, 15, anyone who finished on the lead lap in that one definitely deserves it. And Michael Skurlock will finish the first car off the lead lap, only one position behind Matt Danson. So talk about damage control. He was 3 laps down, but he only finished 1 position behind his championship rival, and therefore only lost the single point. So there you go. Never give up is the motto.
Yeah, 100%. That's actually quite incredible. I didn't think that was going to pan out like that at all. I know Jackson Callow looked like he might have gotten 5 or 6 points, I guess, on the field, but didn't get as much as I expected. And for those two Danson from 13th, that's pretty impressive. Yeah,
certainly very well done. And as we mentioned earlier on, we do apologise. We have had a bit of a stuttery stream tonight. Just in case you didn't hear us earlier on, we are being broadcast from South Australia tonight, and we've got quite a big storm rolling in over Adelaide as we speak, which we believe is probably responsible for the majority of it. But what we'll do, just before we actually get a few of these drivers up for some post-race interviews, we will just run through your full final finishing order. So Jason Martin, as mentioned, has taken the victory here tonight after starting from pole and leading most of the laps. Bruce Smith coming from 6th position on the grid to follow him home in 2nd. Josh Mickelmore coming through on those fresh tyres. Great run through to 3rd. And Jason Williams, Mr. Consistency, up there in 4th position. Got so lucky with that wreck earlier on, didn't he? Just to come home in the 4th place. Ricky Cornwall there in 5th. Jackson Callow, very mature recovery drive up there to 6th position. Then Matt Hunter, great result for him there in 7th. Simon Black up there in 8th. Matthew Lawson, the newcomer, he's up there in 9th. And your V8 Supercar champion, Shane Van Gisbergen, running there in 10th position after getting involved in a wreck a little bit earlier on, but stuck at it and brought it home in P10. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
No, I was just agreeing. Sorry.
Okay, so just going on from there, we got Gareth Anderson in the 111, finished in 11th, so all ones for him tonight. Matt Danson there, the last truck on the lead lap in 12th. Michael Skurlock, as we mentioned, 3 laps down, but only 1 position behind his championship rival in 13th. Then going back a bit further, we had Will Barrington, Todd Maxfield, Kevin Bomford, Bradley Cheney, Tristan Yelland, Aaron Dillon, Tristan Koch, Nicholas Walsh, Michael Latter, Christopher Simpson, Dave Douglas, Gavin Sadler, Matthew Clute, Mike Brown, Aaron Wilton, Otis Cordwall, John Sorensen, James Robbie, Brian Richmond, Raymond Yeager, Stephen Williams, Josh Carroll Walden, Damon Stockton, Kai Sloggett, Darren McKenzie, Jason Nicholas, Robert Northway, Terry Marwood and Leo Smith rounds out our field of 42 trucks. So we've got a few drivers down there in the green room at the moment. Daniel, do you want to grab any of them up there for an interview?
Yes, I will. We may as well start with the winner, Jason Martin.
Start with the winner. Take it away, Dan.
Jason Martin, how are you doing tonight? Congratulations. Good race.
Thanks, mate. I'm doing good now.
Yeah, it was a pretty consistent run all night. Did you sort of find that you mightn't have had the truck there tonight? I mean, it seemed like other than when Mike Brown sort of got around you, you pretty much had it under control.
Yeah, I did about 10 races a couple of weeks ago when the trucks were at Texas, and I think I won about 9 of them. So I think I was going to do pretty good.
That's good. And we did make comment early in the race. You actually nailed the pit stop this time and come out in first place again.
Yeah, no falling asleep this time.
Yeah, no, that's good to see. No, it was a pretty well run race. Sort of some big crashes there in the sort of the early stages, as you knew, but there was a decent green flag run there, and you seem to be able to pretty much just drive away from everybody. So congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, mate. All them races a couple of weeks ago really helped. I knew exactly what the truck would do, so I was pretty sure I'd do okay on the long run.
So that's the message: practice, practice, practice. Well, anyway, would you like anyone that you want to shout out to before I let you go?
I just got to thank Performance E-Streaming for the broadcast and ANZCAR for a great league and all the drivers for putting on such a good race.
Awesome, man. Thank you. And Phoenix next week. Are we going to see you there?
Not sure yet.
Not sure. Well, congratulations, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, so that was your winner, Jason Martin. Great run from him tonight. Fairly dominant performance, but certainly a very worthy winner tonight. So what we might do is we might bring in our third place driver. We haven't actually got Bruce Smith there into chat to at the moment, so we'll bring in Josh Mickelmore, who was our third place driver tonight. Took those fresh tyres at the end and managed to scythe his way through the field. So we'll have a quick chat to him and see what he's got to say about it. Josh Mickelmore, Edward Foster in the Performance E-Streaming commentary box. Fairly eventful race for you tonight. Certainly, when fighting your way back through at the end of the race like that on those fresh tyres. Talk us through it.
Yeah, well, before that, I was trying to see how the fuel would go on the long run. So, I lost Jason Bruce a little bit. Then because I noticed I didn't have enough fuel to make it to the end, and then came out and the yellow came out. But just had to work through the field from then and tried to run down Bruce at the end, but ran out of laps and stuff. So, but it was good fun coming back for the field. Yeah,
we sort of noticed that you went for an earlier pit stop than some of the other guys that were running ahead of you, and figured that you were trying to run an undercut sort of strategy at that time. But then the caution came out, of course, and just threw a big spanner in that. We were talking at the time about how it really hadn't worked because you were there on older tyres and everybody else having tried that undercut, and you'd lost all those positions. But then, of course, we got that second caution really quite shortly afterwards. And I think you and a few of the other guys who were sort of towards the back of the lead lap group came in, got some fresh rubber, and that really allowed you to really come through the field. Was that really how you saw it? Was that the plan?
Well, when I pitted, I had 99% on all four tyres, so it wouldn't have been too bad if I stayed out anyway, I don't think. It was only a few laps, but it definitely would have helped trying to run down Bruce those extra few laps on the tyres. So, yeah.
Yeah, so in the end, got your way through, get back up to third position, which I think you take after the night, after the sort of up and down night that you had, and certainly with a few of the wrecks that were happening earlier on, being able to stay clear of those as well is a bonus. So, well done. And is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
No, I'll just have a shout out to Pinnacle Racing team with for the Americans. So just have a shout out for them. That's about it.
No problems at all. So I'm sure they'll be watching, or at least they'll get the opportunity to watch the broadcast back and see you in that fine third position. So we'll let you go. Thanks for everyone's your third place getter tonight, Josh Mickelmore. All right, so taking a look at a few of the other guys, we've got a few guys sitting there in the green room at the moment, ready for a chat. I almost want to grab our fifth place in Ricky Cornwall after that crazy battle that he had with Jason Williams, get his view on it. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, no problems. I'll grab him in. Ricky Cornwall, fifth position tonight. Looked like just a race-long battle between yourself and Jason Williams. How did it unfold from your point of view?
Yeah, it was great fun racing with Jason. I told him after the race, appreciated him for that, and it was, clean racing. So clean racing's always good.
Yeah, it was just like one of those where neither of you were able to, as soon as one of you managed to get the low line to work enough to actually gain the position, you'd sort of slide up on the exit and the other guy would be able to get down below you, and it seemed to go for lap on lap on lap on lap like that.
Yeah, it sort of planned out well. Lap after lap, we worked each other out pretty well, and gave each other enough room. So yeah, we'd always come out clean.
Yeah, seemed to be a very good battle, very clean battle between the two of you. But in the end, Jason sort of managed to steal the march a little bit by getting those fresh tyres and coming through at the end. We thought we were in for a bit of a repeat performance, but of course then after Jason had cleared you and moved off, you then came under pressure from Callow, who was on fresh tyres as well. And we were sort of the opinion that Callow would be able to blow by you, but not the case. You managed to hold him off.
Yeah, I was sitting there. He's on fresh tyres. He's gonna come zooming past. So I did the best I could and got the better outcome.
Yeah, well, very well earned fifth place, especially with Callow on those fresh tyres, as you mentioned, all over your rear bumper. So very well deserved top five. Good job keeping clear of all the earlier nonsense tonight. There's quite a few wrecks that got a few guys involved, but you managed to stay mostly clear of all that stuff and actually bring home a very solid finish in what was a very big field. Actually, we had 42 trucks out there tonight, and to finish in the top five is a really high percentage job. So well done.
Thank you, and I'd just like to thank DPR, Ben Max Racing, all their help and all the support. So, yeah, cheers, boys.
Absolutely fantastic. So that is your fifth place getter tonight, Ricky Cornwall. Obviously very pleased with that. I'm sure the whole DPR team is going to be very pleased with that effort from him as well. So in wrapping up, Daniel, what are your main takeaways from this race? Obviously, we've got a very small mess around in the championship points as far as very small alteration. Jason Williams has got to get some points back on those guys in front of him as well, with a very good finish tonight up there in, I believe he was fourth. So what are you sort of thinking looking back on this race and then looking forward to Phoenix?
Well, just looking back at the standings at the moment, I've actually got them up at the moment, and you got Matt Danson's actually moved into the tied at the moment with Michael Skurlock, so they're tied on points at 322. Jason Williams 14 points back. Jackson Calais did end up getting 7 points on that, and he's only 37 points behind now. So yeah, pretty much at the top of the standings, still very, very tight, which will be my takeaway.
All right.
So yes, so I'll just go through the top five in standings. We got Matt Danson in first. He's tied with Michael Skurlock at 322 points. Then on 308 points, Jason Williams and Jackson Callow on 285, and Gavin Sadler rounds out the top five on 263 points.
Well, Gavin Sadler's had a couple of good results there, hasn't he, to get up that high? Because I know he had a couple of very strong races in the round sort of preceding this, so good to see him up there as well. But in terms of looking forward to Phoenix now, Jason Martin already said earlier on that he wasn't sure whether he was going to be able to make the trip to Phoenix, but assuming that he doesn't, that's going to open up the opportunity for somebody else to come through. And we've seen quite a few guys have bad rounds tonight who are perfectly capable of winning races and have won races in the series so far. We don't know if we're going to see Braden Bullis out there, but if we don't, we've got Matt Danson there, we've got Mickelmore potentially as well. So it's going to be a really interesting, depending on who shows up. And you would imagine that the main championship protagonists are all going to make the effort to show up for that race. And Phoenix can be a little bit hit and miss. It can be very filled with wrecks. It can also be brilliant if the drivers go in there with the correct attitude. So very much looking forward to see how that one turns out and the bearing that one will have as we move towards the end of this championship.
Yeah, it should be pretty fun race next week at Phoenix. Like you say, could be a lot of wrecks, could be a lot of racing. I think if it happens like tonight and sort of half the field gets sort of taken out, it'll end up being a really...
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that is just about all we have time for tonight. We've seen another great round of this 131 Web Radio ANZCAR Monday Night Truck Series. Been an absolutely fantastic series so far. Very hotly contested. It looks like it's going to continue that way all the way through to the end of the season. So from me, from Danny G, and from Carl Whitty, who's been very kindly operating under very trying circumstances with this storm, messing with all his technology and all his little bits and pieces. He's down there in mission control, frantically trying to bring this thing home. So well done to the entire team here, and from all of us, thanks very much and good night.